Brother brought his unleashed pit bull to my child-free wedding despite my strict rules, and when it bit a waiter, he blamed me for having a stressful environment. So I sent him the medical bills, and he blocked me on everything. I 28F work in a field that involves a lot of liability contracts and safety regulations. I don't want to get too specific, but let's just say I know exactly what happens when someone gets hurt on a property and there wasn't the right insurance in place. I have seen lawsuits destroy families, and I have seen people lose their homes because they didn't read the fine print. My husband and I spent 2 years planning our wedding. We paid for almost everything ourselves, with a little bit of help from my parents, specifically my mom, Sharon. The venue we chose was this historic estate that had very strict rules. They made us sign a 20-page contract. One of the biggest clauses in there was about damages and liability. Because the venue was so old and had expensive antique furniture, they had a strict no children policy for anyone under 16 and absolutely 0 pets allowed on the property. Not even in the parking lot. If they found an animal on the grounds, we would lose our entire security deposit, which was $5,000, and we would be immediately liable for any cleaning fees. The issue started with my older brother, Larry 30M. Larry has always been the golden child, especially in my dad's eyes. About 3 years ago, Larry got this massive pit bull mix. He didn't train it, he didn't neuter it. He treats this dog like it is a human infant. He calls himself a dog dad and brings the dog literally everywhere. I am not exaggerating. He brings the dog to the grocery store. He brings it to family dinners. He tried to bring it to our grandmother's funeral, but the funeral home director stopped him at the door. Every time he brings the dog somewhere, it is a nightmare. The dog jumps on people, it steals food off tables, and it growls if anyone gets too close to Larry. Larry insists the dog is reactive because it was abused before he got it, and he says that people just need to respect the dog's boundaries, but he never puts the dog on a leash. He says leashes make the dog feel trapped and increase the aggression, so he walks this 80-pound muscle machine around with nothing but a prayer. When we sent out the wedding invitations, I put adults only, no pets in bold letters. I also put it on the wedding website. I even called Larry personally to remind him. I told him, Larry, I know you love the dog, but he cannot come. The venue will kick us out. Please leave him at home or get a sitter. Larry laughed and said, yeah, I get it. No dogs. I thought that was the end of it. I really believed him because he seemed to understand that this wasn't my house. It was a rented venue with security. My dad, however, kept making little comments leading up to the wedding. He would say things like, it's a shame the grand dog can't be there for the family photos. Or he would say, Larry is really stressed about finding a sitter who understands the dog's specific emotional needs. I told my mom, Sharon, about my worries. She told me she would handle it. She said she would speak to my dad and Larry and make sure they respected the rules. My mom has always been the peacemaker. She hates conflict. She usually just tries to smooth things over so Dad doesn't get angry and Larry doesn't throw a fit. I honestly thought everything was going to be fine. The rehearsal dinner went smoothly. Larry showed up alone. He complained a bit about how much the dog missed him, but he didn't bring it. I felt a huge wave of relief. But then the wedding day happened a few weeks ago. I was in the bridal suite getting ready with my younger sister, Monica, 25F, and my bridesmaids. I was feeling anxious but happy. I didn't have my phone on me because I wanted to be present in the moment. The ceremony was beautiful. It was outdoors in the garden. Larry was there, sitting in the front row. No dog. I remember looking at him and smiling, thinking, okay, we made it. He actually listened. We moved to the reception area, which was a semi-outdoor tented pavilion connected to the main historic house. Everyone was having cocktails. I was taking photos with my husband. About an hour into the reception, right before dinner was supposed to be served, I heard a commotion near the entrance of the tent. I looked over and saw Larry walking in. He had left after the ceremony, apparently, and come back. Walking next to him, with no leash, just a bandana around its neck, was the dog. My heart literally dropped into my stomach. I felt like I couldn't breathe. I started walking toward him, but my big dress made it hard to move fast. I saw the venue coordinator looking terrified. I got to Larry and I hissed, "What are you doing? You have to get him out of here right now." Larry looked at me, completely calm, and said, "Relax, sis." He was having a panic attack at the house alone. I could see him on the pet cam. I couldn't just leave him there to suffer. He'll be quiet. He's just going to sit under my table. I told him, "No, you cannot have him here. We will lose our deposit. You need to leave." My dad walked up then. I expected him to help me. Instead, he put his hand on my shoulder and said, "Don't make a scene on your wedding day. The dog is here now. Just let him stay. He's family." I felt like I was going insane. I looked at my mom, Sharon, but she was just standing there wringing her hands, looking at the floor. Before I could call security, a waiter came walking by with a tray of appetizers. He was a young guy, maybe 22. He was moving quickly because it was a busy rush. The dog lunged. It didn't growl first, it just snapped. It jumped up and bit the waiter's arm, the one holding the heavy tray. The tray went flying. Dishes shattered everywhere. The waiter screamed. It was chaos. The dog didn't let go immediately. Larry had to physically pry the dog's jaws open while screaming at the waiter to stop moving. "You're making him worse." There was blood everywhere. The waiter fell backward into a table of guests. The dog was barking its head off now, lunging at anyone who moved. I stood there frozen. My husband ran over and grabbed me, pulling me back. Security finally rushed in. They told Larry he had to remove the animal immediately or they were calling the police. Larry dragged the dog out, yelling the whole time that the waiter had provoked the dog by walking too fast and sneaking up on him. The ambulance had to come. The waiter, whose name I found out later is Peter, had a serious puncture wound on his forearm and needed stitches. The police showed up because an animal attack had been reported. The party effectively ended right there. The music stopped. Half the guests left because they were terrified. The venue manager pulled me and my husband into the office and told us we were in breach of contract. They were keeping the $5,000 deposit, and they were going to bill us for the broken dishes, the cleaning of the biohazard blood, and any legal fees they incurred from the waiter's injury. I spent my wedding night crying in a hotel room while my husband tried to console me. I felt like everything was ruined. The next day, I called my parents. My dad answered. He immediately started defending Larry. He said, "Larry is really traumatized by what happened. You know that dog is his emotional support. The waiter shouldn't have been running around like that. It was a stressful environment for a rescue dog." I hung up on him. I didn't even know what to say. I waited a week until I got the final invoice from the venue. It was astronomical. Between the lost deposit, the cleaning fees, and the damages, we were out almost $8,000. And that didn't even include the potential medical bills for Peter, the waiter. I made a copy of the invoice. I also wrote down the cost of the food that went uneaten because everyone left, and the cost of the photography time we missed because of the police report. I sent the total bill to Larry via email and certified mail. I told him he had 30 days to pay me back or I would be taking him to small claims court. 2 days later, I got a notification that Larry had blocked me on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. My text messages to him turned green, so I knew he blocked my number too. My dad called me from his phone. He screamed at me for kicking a man when he's down. He said Larry was worried about his dog being put down because of the police report, and that I was being a cruel sister for worrying about money when Larry was in crisis. I told my dad that Larry was the one who brought a dangerous weapon to my wedding and set it loose. My dad said, "It was an accident. Family forgives accidents." I haven't spoken to my mom, Sharon, because she won't answer her phone. I think my dad is monitoring her calls. I feel so angry I can barely function. I feel betrayed by my entire family, except my sister Monica, who told me she saw Larry sneaking the dog in through a side gate and tried to stop him, but Dad told her to shut up. I am questioning everything. I feel like I should have hired armed guards. I feel like I should have uninvited Larry months ago. But I also feel guilty because my family is falling apart and everyone is blaming me for escalating it by sending the bill. Am I the asshole for trying to make my brother pay for the destruction of my wedding, or should I have just eaten the cost to keep the peace? Update 1. Thank you all so much for the comments on the last post. I was in a really bad place when I wrote that, crying and drinking wine at 2 p.m., and I didn't expect so many people to validate my feelings. I'll go ahead and answer a few questions here and then give an update on the nightmare that is my life right now. One question was about the service dog thing. A lot of you asked if Larry claims the dog is a service animal. Yes, he does, but it is not a real service dog. He went online and bought one of those fake red vests that says service animal on Amazon. He keeps a laminated card in his wallet that he printed off the internet. The dog has no task training. It pulls on the leash when he uses one. It barks at strangers, and obviously it bites people. In my state, passing off a fake service dog is a crime, but businesses are usually too scared to challenge him. The venue manager told me later that when Larry sneaked back in, he told the staff at the side door that it was a medical alert dog and that he had a legal right to be there. 2. People asked about Peter, the waiter. I have been in contact with him. He is a really nice young guy, a college student working to pay tuition. He needed 18 stitches. He has nerve damage in his hand and is doing physical therapy. He hasn't been able to work since the incident. I told him I would support him in whatever he needs to do. I gave him Larry's address and insurance information, though I doubt Larry has renter's insurance that covers this. Now for the update. Like I said before, it's been a few weeks since the wedding. I decided not to wait for small claims court. I hired a lawyer. My lawyer sent a formal demand letter to Larry for the $8,000 venue costs. Larry responded by having his girlfriend, Audrey, post a long rant on Facebook. I haven't met Audrey many times because she usually avoids family gatherings, but she is just as delusional as Larry. In the post, she claimed that I was a bridezilla who hated animals. She said that I created a hostile sensory environment with loud music and running waiters, which triggered their fur baby. She actually used the phrase victim blaming to describe me asking for payment, implying the dog was the victim. She also posted a photo of the dog wearing a flower crown with the caption "Innocent Soul." It made me want to throw my phone against the wall. My mom, Sharon, finally reached out to me. She called me from a neighbor's phone because my dad really was checking her call logs. She was crying hysterically. She told me that my dad, Larry, and Audrey had a war council at my parents' house. They decided that the official family stance is that the waiter tripped and fell on the dog, and the dog acted in self-defense. They are planning to sue the venue for negligence for having unsafe working conditions that led to the dog's distress. I told my mom that there is video. The videographer caught the whole thing in the background of a shot of the cake cutting. You can clearly see the waiter walking normally and the dog lunging unprovoked. When I told my mom about the video, she went silent. Then she said, "Oh God, they are going to lie under oath." I told my mom she has to choose. I told her I cannot have a relationship with people who are gaslighting me about the worst day of my life. I told her that if she supports Dad and Larry in this lie, she can't be in my life. She cried and said she just wants everyone to get along. She said, "Your father is just trying to protect Larry. You know, Larry isn't strong like you. If he gets sued, he'll lose his apartment." I said, "Good, maybe then he'll learn." I also found out from my sister Monica that Larry has been using my dad's credit card to pay for a dog behaviorist to prove the dog isn't aggressive. But the behaviorist apparently told them the dog is a level 4 biter and recommended behavioral euthanasia. Larry fired the behaviorist and is now looking for a holistic pet healer. The venue is suing me. Well, they are suing me and my husband because we signed the contract. We have to turn around and sue Larry to get the money to pay them. It is a legal mess. I feel so guilty about Peter. I went to visit him to drop off a card and a gift basket, not much, I know. He was really gracious. He told me, "It's not your fault your brother is an idiot." Hearing a stranger say that was more validating than anything my family has said in 30 years. My husband has been amazing, but I can tell he is done with my family. He told me last night, "I love you, but I never want to see your brother or your father again." I agreed with him. I don't know if there will be another update soon because the legal stuff takes forever. But right now, I am mourning the loss of my parents and my brother. I feel like an orphan, even though they are all alive. Update 2. Hi guys, it's been a full year since the wedding incident, and I wanted to update you all because the story took a turn I didn't expect. About 6 months after my last post, the lawsuit with the venue was settled. My husband and I ended up having to pay out of pocket, but we successfully sued Larry for the amount. We won the judgment, but Larry has no money, so we haven't seen a dime yet. We basically have a piece of paper that says he owes us money. However, the situation with Peter, the waiter, blew everything up. Peter sued Larry directly for personal injury. Because Larry didn't have insurance and couldn't pay, Peter's lawyer went after my parents. Why my parents? Because it turns out my dad, in his infinite wisdom, had co-signed the lease on Larry's apartment, and the lease specifically prohibited pit bulls. By allowing Larry to keep the dog there and knowing it was dangerous, there were prior incidents my dad hid from me. My dad got dragged into the negligence claim. The court case revealed everything. The text between my dad and Larry, proving they knew the dog was dangerous. The fake service dog vest receipt. The behaviorist's report that recommended putting the dog down. My mom, Sharon, finally snapped. I think seeing the financial ruin coming for their retirement savings woke her up. She showed up at my house one night with a suitcase. She told me that my dad was draining their joint savings to pay for Larry's legal defense and Audrey's lifestyle. Audrey had convinced Larry that they needed to countersue everyone for discrimination against a breed. It was a money pit. My mom filed for divorce. She moved in with me and my husband for a few months. It was awkward, but we made it work. During the divorce proceedings, my mom reconnected with Peter. Not romantically. Peter is 23, but Peter is actually the nephew of the venue owner. My mom ended up meeting the venue owner, a man named Anthony, 60 SM, during the settlement talks. Anthony was surprisingly kind to her once he realized she was also a victim of my dad and Larry's insanity. They started having coffee to discuss the payment plans, and well, they are dating now. It is the most ironic twist of my life. My mom is dating the owner of the venue where my brother's dog mauled a waiter. Anthony is a great guy. He treats my mom with respect, and he has a golden retriever that is actually trained. As for Larry and Audrey, they got evicted. My dad couldn't bail them out anymore because of the divorce freezing the assets. They moved into a motel for a while, but then got kicked out because of the dog. The dog, sadly, bit someone else. It bit a child at a park where Larry was walking it off leash again. Animal control finally stepped in. The dog was euthanized by the state. Larry posted a video on TikTok crying about how the system murdered his child. He blamed me. He blamed Peter. He blamed the child who got bitten. He takes zero responsibility. My dad is now living in a small apartment alone. He texts me sometimes saying he misses me and that I destroyed the family over a mistake. I don't reply. Monica, my sister, is doing great. She graduated nursing school and is getting married next year. She has already hired armed security for her wedding to ensure Larry doesn't get within 500 feet of the venue. Peter recovered mostly. He has a cool scar and regained 95% usage of his hand. He actually came to a barbecue we had at Anthony's house last month. We joked about the wedding from hell. He told me, at least it was memorable. I am still paying off the debt from the wedding, but honestly it was the price of freedom. I cut out the toxicity. I saved my mom or helped her save herself, and I learned that blood doesn't mean you have to tolerate abuse. Thank you everyone for your support. I hope none of you ever have to deal with a fur baby that draws blood. And if someone tells you their dog is reactive but refuses to leash it, run the other way.